There's a story out over in Reuters, but this is a story you've probably heard of, maybe been hearing about. And there is a rebel group over in the north of Afghanistan, the Panjshir Valley. I believe they are mostly Tajiks. And they are holding out against the Taliban. Ahmad Massoud was actually previously, he was actually I guess what's a legendary guerrilla fighter against the Soviet Union when they had invaded. He had managed to maintain the Panjshir Valley, and so he was known for that. He was against the Taliban. He was assassinated by the Taliban 2 days before 9/11, and now Ahmad Shah Massoud's son, Ahmad Massoud, is now back, and he's at least ostensibly the leader of these rebels. So it says rebels hold out in Afghan Valley as Taliban set up government in Kabul. So it says Taliban forces and fighters loyal to local leader Ahmad Massoud battled in Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley on Thursday, more than 2 weeks after the Islamist militia seized power, as Taliban leaders in the capital Kabul worked to form a government. Panjshir is the last province resisting rule by the Taliban, whose overthrow of the Western-backed government as U.S. and other foreign troops withdrew after 20 years has left the country in chaos. It says each side said it has inflicted heavy casualties. We started operations after negotiation with the local armed group failed, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said. Taliban fighters had entered Panjshir and taken control of some territory, he said. They, the enemy, suffered heavy losses. A spokesman for the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, NRFA, rebel grouping said it had full control of all passes and entrances and had driven back efforts to take Shotol district. The enemy made multiple attempts near Shotol from Jabul Saraj and failed each time, he said, referring to a town in neighboring Parwan province. Since the Taliban swept into Kabul on August 15th, several thousand fighters from local militias and remnants of the government's armed forces have massed in Panjshir under the leadership of Massoud, son of a former Mujahideen commander. So they were supposed to, I guess, negotiate with the Taliban to include them in the government. The thing that a lot of people don't understand about Afghanistan is Afghanistan has never really properly been fully unified. There are a lot of different ethnic groups. There's different languages, Pashto, there's Farsi. There's different languages, but you also have like the Tajiks, for example, in the north of Afghanistan. Then you have like the Pashtuns, and then obviously you have like the Farsi-Wans. So, this is Panjshir Valley. I don't really, I don't know everything about the situation, but I do kind of find it hard to believe that the Taliban would be able to take it over. It's extremely mountainous, it's hard to enter, and it's pretty easy to defend because I guess when you're going through the mountains, you're pretty exposed, so it puts you in a bad situation. So I have a hard time believing that the Taliban would be able to take over Panjshir, but it's hard to tell with this stuff because you don't really have exactly like super hard news sources. It's kind of just propaganda on both sides, so it's hard to tell. But the legacy, I guess, is continuing over there. This can be good news in terms of there will be one area that's not Taliban controlled, but the idea that like a northern resistance would be able to, rule Afghanistan just isn't the case. Tajiks make far too small of a portion of the population, so that's something that Americans didn't understand either, and they didn't really seem to understand that, you have to understand the way that the ethnic groups in Afghanistan are, the different languages, all of this other stuff. So it's important to understand. It's cool to see that they are resisting, and hopefully they're able to keep the area. It's funny because now the Taliban are the ones who are no longer the rebels. Now they're the government forces. So now they're going to have to deal with the pain in the ass of fighting rebel groups. So what's going to end up happening. I think that the rebels will be able to hold off to Panjshir Valley just due to its geography. It's very, very hard to take control of. But we will have to see. We will have to see.